Nene.
South Africa is one of the most stunning countries in the world. It has landscapes out of a dream, with Cape Town undeniably being one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's a country full of diversity and is often called the Rainbow Nation, which was a term coined by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. However, South Africa has a very dark and traumatic past. Apartheid was a system of institutionalized racial oppression. This system denied non-white South Africans basic human rights and brutally oppressed Black people. The 9th of August, National Women's Day, is South Africa's public holiday. On this day in Pretoria, 1956, the Women's March took place with an estimated 20,000 women of all races. The protest took place on a Thursday, the traditional day when Black domestic workers had their day off. The aim of the march was to protest the introduction of the apartheid pass laws for Black women in 1952, which was a form of an internal passport system designed to segregate the population and severely limit the movement of Black African citizens. Apartheid was eventually abolished in 1994 when Nelson Mandela and the NAC came to power. However, the women of South Africa still lived in constant fear. Not because of the apartheid racist police. Women of all nationalities in South Africa now lived in fear of fathers, brothers, sons, and uncles. South Africa has one of the highest levels of violence against women on earth, which experts say is rooted in outdated beliefs about women. There are more than 100 rapes reported every day, and according to official data, a woman is murdered every 3 hours. And tragically, Uyinene Mrwetyana was one whose life was cut short in the cruelest way at the hands of a stranger. She was raped and murdered in a post office, which is supposed to be a safe space, by an employee with a criminal record right next door to Claremont Police Station. There's a lot to this story. Viewer discretion is advised. Uyinene was born to mother Norma and father Philip. Norma's pregnancy was a difficult one. She was informed by doctors that there was a high risk their baby would be paralyzed when born and were asked to consider terminating the pregnancy. The God-fearing family prayed about it and ignored the doctor's advice and believed that if it is God's will, their baby would be born strong and healthy. On the 20th of April, Norma gave birth to a healthy baby girl, who they named Uyinene, loosely translated means, God, He is truth. Uyinene grew up in the quiet suburbs of Beacon Bay in the Eastern Cape and attended Hudson Primary School, where she chaired the student council and was awarded the Hudsonian of the Year award. At 19 years old, she attended the University of Cape Town, where she studied film and media studies. She excelled academically. Even at the tender age of 4, it has been said that she expressed an interest in going to school. Uyinene was a social butterfly. Her friends described her signature smile and said she was always laughing. She was an avid musician and briefly played the piano and excelled at playing the saxophone. She was outspoken and firm in what she believed. She loved art, jazz, and had a passion for fashion and keeping up with the trends. She was courageous and always gave her all to whatever she committed herself to. Uyinene, affectionately known by her family as Uyi Uyi and Nene by her friends, was very close to her family. For her mother's birthday, she wanted her family to have the full Cape Town experience, such as hiking, wine tasting, and spending quality time with family enjoying healthy meals. However, her plans were cut short when she went missing, and no one could reach her on her cell phone. Uyinene had ordered some clothes online which were due for collection. On the 8th of August 2019, she went to the post office to find out if her parcel had arrived. The post office teller advised her that her parcel had not yet arrived, but he would contact her once it had and exchange numbers. The parcel arrived on the 16th of August 2019. On Saturday, the 24th of August, Uyinene arrived to collect her parcel. This was the last time Uyinene was seen alive. Uyinene was to meet with her family, however no one had heard from her. Esona, her brother, contacted some of her friends and told them she hadn't been answering her phone. He had also sent her WhatsApp messages, but only one tick was displayed. Her family and friends were now deeply concerned, as this was out of character for Uyinene to have zero contact with anyone. Esona went to the police to report his sister missing. After 48 hours without any sign of Uyinene, her parents flew out to Cape Town to join their son in the search for their daughter. Friends and fellow students from UCT aided in the search for Uyinene by handing out flyers and posting on their social media with the hashtag #BringNene When Norma and Philip arrived in Cape Town, they were sent from pillar to post and decided to go directly to the post office where Uyinene was last seen. When they arrived, Norma announced that she was the mother of the child who was last seen in this post office and demanded the person who served her daughter identify himself. A post office teller raised his hand and told Norma that he served Uyinene and informed them that he told her to come back later. Little did they know they had just spoken to their daughter's murderer. Norma and Philip went next door to the Claremont police station and informed them of what they had just discovered. On the same day, Monday the 26th of August, a body had been discovered in a shallow grave in Khayelitsha. DNA samples were taken and it was confirmed that the body was that of Uyinene. The Claremont police received a tip-off that the Claridge post office might be a crime scene, as blood had been spotted on a mop. The police cordoned off the crime scene and took fingerprints and DNA samples. On the same day, the police arrested post office teller 42-year-old Luyanda Botha. Luyanda had previous run-ins with the law. In 1998, he was convicted of carjacking and received an 8-year sentence, of which only 5 were served. According to the police, he had an attempted rape case against him. However, the case was withdrawn. He allegedly attempted to rape a woman at a nursing home whilst there visiting his girlfriend. His neighbours also expressed that he was not wanted in the area due to his criminal history. It was also alleged that he had tried to lure 3 girls into his office. Whilst in custody, police found shoes with blood on them in the boot of his car. He eventually confessed to her murder and gave a chilling account of how he ended Uyinene's life. He said his first interaction with Uyinene was on the 8th of August 2019 when she entered the Claridge post office to inquire about a parcel she was expecting. The parcel was not available, and he told Uyinene that he would contact her when the parcel was available. The parcel arrived at the post office on the 16th of August, which he registered on the same day. On the 24th of August, Uyinene again arrived at the post office inquiring about her parcel. However, due to a power cut, which is common in South Africa, Luyanda advised her to come back later in the afternoon. However, the post office closes at 1 o'clock on Saturdays. Shortly before 1 p.m., Luyanda's colleague went home, which was previously arranged, leaving him alone in the post office. He contacted Uyinene and informed her that the parcel was available for collection. Uyinene used the Taxify service to travel from her university student residence at Roscombe House in Claremont to the Claridge post office. She was captured on CCTV exiting the taxi and looking down at her phone. She arrived at the post office after closing time. Uyinene entered the post office. Luyanda locked the door behind her. Whilst Uyinene searched through her bag to pay the custom fees, he started making sexual advances towards her. Uyinene didn't respond and looked scared. He then grabbed her by the waist and forcibly pulled her closer and began touching her against her will. Uyinene did her best to fight him off, and at one point she managed to run to the door, but he caught up with her and knocked her to the ground. He then dragged her to the safe inside the post office and locked the safe door. Uyinene began to scream. He began choking her in an attempt to strangle her. Uyinene fought back. However, he took a 2-kilogram weight used to weigh packages and bludgeoned her to death. He left the post office and consumed alcohol at a nearby liquor store. He returned to the post office shortly after and covered her body with cushions, a blanket, and a jersey as she lay in the safe. He returned to the post office in the early hours of Sunday, the 25th of August. The area where he attacked Uyinene and where her body lay was covered in blood. He cleaned up the post office to remove any forensic evidence. Luyanda waited until it was dark and asked the security officer who patrolled the outside perimeter of the post office to allow him to park his car in the yard of the post office. Once parked in the yard, he placed Uyinene in a large postal bag and carried her body to his car. He transported her body to a field in Khayelitsha and dumped her in a shallow grave. He then drove to a nearby petrol station, purchased petrol, returned to where he disposed of her body, and doused her in petrol and set her alight. On Monday, the 26th of August, Luyanda went to a shop across the road from the post office. Employees say he asked to check CCTV captured on Saturday as he claimed to have left a generator outside of the post office which had been stolen. They allowed him to check the footage. However, although the CCTV cameras were pointed towards the post office, it did not capture the entrance to the building. On the 2nd of September 2019, Luyanda, after being charged with Uyinene's murder, made his first appearance in court, where information about Uyinene's murder was made public.
Sorry.
Although Luyanda's identity had not been disclosed due to a court order, the community put 2 and 2 together, and the next day angry protesters set his house on fire. Cape Town Fire Rescue were called. However, protesters prevented them from putting out the fire. It was rumored that there were bodies buried in his backyard. However, police confirmed those rumors to be false. Uyinene's death sparked an uprising of protest. The women of South Africa had had enough, and thousands of women took to the streets protesting against the government's failure to deal with femicide.
We want justice! 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 We're fighting for you! They're pushing us! I don't know, bitch, you woman! I'm fighting for you! We're fighting for you! They're pushing us!
We're here to tell everybody that we're angry and that we're ready for something to happen.
Women should be more careful, but actually the perpetrators are the men, and that's why we're here today. It's not her fault, but it's his.
Young people, we understand. We understand your anger.
This is fucking infuriating! You are a fucking minister of police!
It is not right that young women have to think twice before they go into the public, into the streets. We want to live freely. We want to walk freely. In 1994, when we voted, we thought we were voting for our liberation. But it seems like we went into another form of bondage.
Thousands of people also took to social media to express their anger using the hashtag #AmINext. Just after Uyinene's death, South African boxing champion Baby Lee was shot and killed by her estranged police officer boyfriend, amongst numerous other women killed that week. As stated earlier, in a 2018 report, more than 100 rapes are reported every day, and a woman is murdered every 3 hours, with many murders being unsolved or unreported, and the rapist in many cases only serving a few months in prison. Uyinene's death also led to an online petition to bring back the death penalty in South Africa for crimes against women, which as of September 2019 had over 500,000 signatures.
Our demand is death penalty. That is our demand. And it's nothing that we want them to debate about.
Exactly.
It's what we want.
On the 4th of September, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke at the protest.
I stand before you with a deep sense of feeling. I know what you are all going through. Yes, I know. I know that you are saying enough is enough. In exactly 1 hour, I will be addressing the entire nation on the measures that we are going to take.
Remembrance services and candlelight vigils were held at UCT and other campuses for Uyinene. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle visited South Africa in September 2019. Meghan made an unannounced visit to pay tribute to Uyinene and tied a yellow ribbon on the fence of the murder scene. President Cyril Ramaphosa promised swift action would be taken as a matter of urgency and promised harsher sentences would be imposed on the perpetrators of violence against women. On the 7th of September 2019, in a live broadcast at Abbotsford Church, East London in the Eastern Cape, Uyinene's life was celebrated in a beautiful send-off by her friends, family and the rest of South Africa. Her brother Esona made an emotional tribute to his sister Uyinene.
Molweni bazalwane. Greetings to everyone gathered here. Before you today is Uyinene Mrwetyana, Uyi Uyi's older brother. I remember at some point she used to try to reprimand me from calling her Uyi Uyi in front of her friends because they all called her by another name, which everyone seems to have caught on to, which is Nene. Uyinene was very unique, genuine and honest. When it was time to compliment and celebrate others, she did. When it was time to be straightforward and frank, she was. I know for me, there's certain things that I'm afraid to confront my mother and father about. But with her, even my father had to take a step back and be confronted by her. And I would look on and think, this is above me now. Last time I spoke to her, she was telling me that she had plans she had made to celebrate my mother's birthday. She wanted us to go hiking. Okay, fine. Amongst other things, she wanted us to go wine tasting. So I asked her, Uyi Uyi, when have you ever seen our mother drinking alcohol? And she cheekily replies, at her big age, she has no excuse. She had a big sense of humor and playfulness. I'm sure many of her friends can attest to that. She could dance, and as much as she tried to teach me, it never worked out for me. Uyinene was very artsy and enjoyed exploring things like music. She briefly played the piano, and she excelled at playing the saxophone. She wasn't the greatest at sports, but she participated as much as she could and enjoyed being with her friends. In closing, Uyi Uyi, I know we still had experiences to live through and memories to make together. I always pictured a future where I'd one day tell my children that I'm dropping them off at my sister's for the weekend. A future where we would one day grow old together and reflect on how far we had come. But I know you're in a better place, where there's no sickness, no anxiety, and no stress, but pure joy and peace. The one thing I will hold on to is that to your very last breath, you were fighting. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there to fight for you. I'm so proud of you. Your fight is now our fight.
On the 15th of November, Luyanda was convicted and sentenced to life for the murder of Uyinene. He also received 2 life sentences on both counts of rape and 5 years for defeating the course of justice.
Mr. Botha, you have heard the submissions made by the defense on your behalf and the state. I am satisfied that the conviction and sentence agreement is in accordance with justice, and accordingly I convict you as charged. Now, as regarding to the sentence, the court convicts you as charged. As regarding the sentence, I'll read out as follows. On the count 1, which is in short rape by inserting your fingers into the vagina of the deceased, life imprisonment. Count 2, which is rape by inserting the accused penis into the vagina of the deceased, life imprisonment. On count 3, for the unlawful and wrongful killing, which is the murder of Uyinene, life imprisonment. And count 4, 5 years direct imprisonment essentially is defeating obstruction of the administration of justice by disposing of her body, setting it alight, and cleaning up various forensic evidence in the course of obstructing the administration of justice. I further order that in terms of section 280, subsection 2 of Act 51 of 1977, the sentence imposed on count 4 shall run concurrently with the sentence imposed on count 1. I need not have to say this, it happens ex lege, but these sentences will run concurrently in that it consists of life imprisonment. That the accused is furthermore ordered in terms of section 276 capital B of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977, a non-parole period of 25 years is fixed, during which the accused shall not be placed on parole.
On the 29th of November 2019, the Uyinene Mrwetyana Foundation was founded in Mukanda, Eastern Cape, in celebration of her life and to continue her legacy. The Uyinene Mrwetyana Scholarship was also founded for female students in the humanities faculties at the University of Cape Town. It is a full-cost scholarship which covers tuition, residential fees and learning materials for the duration of the undergraduate degree, providing the student maintains an overall average of 65%. I wish nothing but peace, healing and closure, not only for Uyinene's family, but for all the victims' families who now have to live without their loved ones.